So if you're black, actually, if you're breathing, you most likely know what Coming to America is. It's a cult classic. Like, if you haven't seen it, I'm taking your black card. It gave us Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall, a duo that I don't even think most of us knew we needed at the time. The movie was so over the top, so silly. It had so many great comedic moments in it. How could we forget, bruh, when they went to the club and Eddie Murphy sat by this girl and she looked at him, and what came out of her mouth?
I've got a secret. I worship the devil.
And who could forget the McDowell's brawl? Let me tell you something. They're lucky that they caught Samuel L. Jackson before he became a Jedi. Because if that nigga was a Jedi during that scene, he would have floored both of them niggas. And did I mention when I first saw the movie when I was a college freshman, it had me tracking down Jerry Curl Juice for a solid week? Do you know how hard it is to find Jerry Curl Juice in Southern Virginia? No, you don't. Which is a nice movie you could go in that still had a lot of truth to it, don't get me wrong. Still showed a kind of realistic portrayal of New York. It wasn't really meant to, be this big social commentary, but that's what we loved about it, right? You're not supposed to walk away from the movie and write a fucking thesis paper on it. I think the biggest thing for us was that, the characters felt very real, like they all had desires. And Akeem, all he wanted was a girl to understand him on a deeper level. What man doesn't want a woman with actual values? What man doesn't want a woman who likes reading and going to church? I mean, I feel like me especially, I can relate to that because I don't want a girl with just a wop. I want a girl who's more than just her breasts, legs, and thighs. I want a girl who can engage me on a personal level. When I'm on Tinder, I'm looking at more things than just the booty. You know what I'm saying? Looking for a man where we can feed the homeless together and community service. Who trying to do that? Boring. I love going to church every day and I wish I could make you a better man. We can grow together. It's lame and corny. You've been watching too much Disney Channel, girl. Swipe left. Oh, Jesus. Yo, she got WAP. What her bio say? OnlyFans XXX? Oh, hell yes. Now there will be some spoilers, so proceed with caution. Now there was a lot of years of speculation. People were making rumors. There was a fucking weird article about Arsenio Hall dying or some shit like that along the way. But after Eddie Murphy hosted SNL in 2019, we were like, Coming to America, the sequel's definitely coming. This is the return of Eddie Murphy. And we were right, because Coming to America showed us a peaceful Zamunda. There was no more wars. Eddie was happy with 3 beautiful daughters. McDowell's was thriving and fucking giraffes and zebras was frolicking all about with niggas. It was the perfect utopia. Better than Wakanda. Akeem had 3 daughters, like I said before, and that means that they cannot take over his position as king because women can't hold leadership positions in Zamunda, and they can't even own fucking businesses in Zamunda. So backwards ass country, which I did not see that coming. So we later learned that shortly after arriving to Queens in the first movie, Akeem went in raw with a girl. He didn't catch an STD, but he gave her a baby. Now his son's name was Lavelle Johnson, who you could tell he wasn't the smartest knife in the toolbox, mostly because he was in front of Madison Square Garden, got approached by a strange man claiming to be his long lost African father, and gave him his first and last name.
What is your name?
It's Lavelle. Lavelle Johnson.
Lavelle Johnson, the heir to the throne of Zamunda.
It's like this nigga wanted to get kidnapped. So I honestly thought that the plot was gonna be them searching and tearing Queens up and down, looking for Akeem's son the same way Akeem was looking for a woman. But they found Lavelle just like that. You blink and then they found a nigga. And it's like, god damn, like what else is there to the movie then if they already did this? So without giving away too much, after they find the son, they go back to Zamunda, and then they do go back to America another time, and then they do go back to Zamunda. God damn, the carbon footprints for these fictional characters is ridiculous. Now personally, I feel like instead of calling it Coming to America, they really should call it We Stayed Our Asses in Zamunda, because that's exactly what they fucking did. They were only in America for like a total of maybe 20 minutes. But then again, with Trump, the Capitol riots, COVID, I really don't want to be in fucking America right now either. So most of the story revolved around this Lavelle nigga doing like a bunch of tests to show that he, could prove that he could rule over Zamunda when Akeem died. It was kind of sad because it took a lot of the character development away from Akeem, who everybody was emotionally invested into, and put it on this new nigga. And I was like, nigga, you kind of corny, so I'm really not invested in you, but I'll take it because I fucking love Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall. So now the movie wasn't all bad. There were some good things about it. First of all, Leslie Jones. All her scenes, any scene she was in was hilarious, bruh. I was dying. going off of that, it was so amazing to see so many different melanated powerhouses just all under one roof. Like we had Tracy Morgan, Gladys Knight, Salt and Pepper, Wesley Snipes. It was just so dope to see all of them just together in one movie. And as I said before, one of the main characters was named Lavelle. Now, I really don't know why, and I've done research on this, so don't try to argue with me, but when women hear the name Lavelle, their pussies just get wet. So props to the writers for giving the guy the name Lavelle, because Prince Lavelle has a nice ring to it. It was probably, you know, the best decision they made in the whole goddamn movie, in my opinion. There were a lot of really cool callbacks to the old movie. It didn't really add to this movie. If anything, it just cemented how great of a classic that the old movie was. Like, it just made me want to watch the first movie over again. I mean, if anything, it ruined my perception of Akeem, because at the end of the day, he kind of like, you know, did all this stuff in the first movie, and then he's just perpetuating this fucking patriarchal, sexist ass system. So it's like, at the end of the day, you know, when I rewatch the first movie over again, I'm just look at him like, damn nigga, you failed. So unlike the first movie, this one didn't really linger on my mind that much. When the credits started to roll, I was kind of, you know, on to the next thing. Like I wasn't really thinking about the movie. It's just like this fantasy escape. It was just good to see black people, you know, as kings and queens rather than slaves or second-class citizens, and not victims. We're not in chains and, oh, I'm a slave, or, oh, massa, oh yeah, massa. We're kings and queens. And so similar to Black Panther, I think portrayals of us in this light are needed, but the movie didn't really have too much substance behind it, if that makes any sense. Still, personally for me, it was just a little bit too PC. The first Coming to America, and I know we're in a different time, but the first Coming to America was ruthless with the jokes. Like, they joked about every and anything, right? And I feel like because of this age we're in, the writers were really, they knew people were gonna come in with a critical eye. Like we know fucking Eddie Murphy's humor. We know the type of shit he used to say on stage. So I think the writers kind of, you know, they were extra sensitive to that, and they made sure that nobody could possibly get offended at any of the jokes they were making. And I guess, you know, for it to be a comedy, that didn't really play off too well, you know, because if you're doing comedy, somebody's gonna get offended. You can't really pander to everybody, and if you try to, you're gonna get what this movie was, which is just like a bunch of surface, shallow jokes, super PC culture shit, super corny. I think the writers were playing it a little bit too safe, which is why it also doesn't feel like a sequel. I think I'll rate this movie a 6.5 out of 10. The 0.5 comes from the fact that they named a character in the movie Lavelle, which is my name, the best name in the world, and gets women's pussies wet on them hearing it. Don't quote me on that. It's published in the CDC, so. I think you should watch this movie if you're, you know, doing nothing on a Saturday night. You got 2 hours to spare, and, you know, it'll help you pass the time. I don't think you should walk away from this movie, you know, having experienced something profound. I think if you're planning on getting a bunch of friends and having a big movie night over this movie, I highly advise against that, just because you're gonna all end up severely disappointed. And if you're the one that's hosting the movie night, your friends may never trust you to host another one ever again.
What a king, what a king, what a king, what a mighty good, so good, so good, so good. Ugh.